When I came to North Carolina, immediately I felt as if I had no voice.
What do we want? Union rights. When do we want it?
It was not only a banning of collective bargaining, but it was a banning of the ability to form and join unions.
We are the union. We are the union. The mighty, mighty union. The mighty, mighty.
Collective bargaining has been the thing that my heart has been longing for in the state of North Carolina.
So why are teachers and other public employees not allowed to collectively bargain in North Carolina? To understand, we need to go back to a chaotic few weeks in 1958 and 59 when collective bargaining was outlawed in response to anti-public union hysteria originating in New York City.
A collective bargaining agreement sets out exactly what the terms and conditions of employment will be, how much people will be paid, how people will be promoted, in what order they'll be laid off.
The campaign began as a targeted effort to ban police unions, but quickly expanded to deny all public employees collective bargaining rights. This is the story of a battle over workers' rights, public service responsibilities, and the role of business in shaping policy, a conflict that still shapes North Carolina's labor landscape today. In the early 20th century, North Carolina experienced an economic boom. As workers in northern states unionized at unprecedented rates, many businesses migrated south in search of cheaper, more pliable workers. In particular, many textile mills opened in North Carolina, employing poor, segregated black and white workers. Eventually, some workers in North Carolina responded to exploitative working conditions by forming unions of their own. After a few successful strikes, the business community demanded a crackdown. Organizations like the Chamber of Commerce and Merchants Association pushed anti-union legislation and encouraged police to crack down on striking workers. Between 1920 and 1940, organized labor suffered defeat after defeat after crushing defeat. Despite their success in warding off organized labor, by 1946, organized capital felt as though it still needed to make its influence more felt. The CIO, a federation of unions, had launched Operation Dixie, a massive campaign across the South to create unions that united the whole working class, black and white, skilled and unskilled. In 1947, business owners convinced state legislators to pass highly effective anti-union laws.
The so-called right to work laws do two things. First, they say that no employee must join a union. Secondly, no employee has to pay any dues or any fees of any sort to the union. So employees, if they want to, cannot join the union and still get all the protections of the contract.
By 1950, North Carolina was the least unionized state in the nation. Meanwhile, outside North Carolina, labor unions were growing more powerful. Up-and-coming Teamsters Union president Jimmy Hoffa was gaining national attention. Critics of Hoffa accused him of mob affiliations, so when the Teamsters organized the New York City Police in 1958, there was a huge outcry in the press. This media blitz was felt way down in Charlotte, North Carolina. A year earlier, the police force had been unionized in Charlotte. Not by the Teamsters, but by an AFL-CIO union known as AFSCME. Businessmen worried they would lose support from the Charlotte police against striking workers. Their view was expressed by the Charlotte police chief. What if an officer is required to use some force to keep order? If he's a union member, he has divided loyalties. Making use of the national outrage over Hoffa's organization of the New York police, the Charlotte Observer, a local newspaper, ran an intense campaign against the police union in Charlotte, starting in December 1958. The Observer argued that policemen occupy a special category as the preservers of law and order, and therefore have a unique responsibility to the general public, which must not be divided or diminished by coercive forces such as unions. The Observer erased the distinction between the Teamsters Union in New York and AFSCME police union in Charlotte, making the public think that Hoffa would control their government. As the Charlotte Observer campaign came to a boiling point in late December 1958, the Chamber of Commerce pressured the City Council to immediately prohibit policemen from becoming affiliated in any way with any labor union, because it was not in the public interest. The very next day, the City Council introduced a resolution to ban all city employees from joining unions, including firefighters. Labor leaders pushed back hard. 9 labor representatives spoke in opposition, while only 1 business leader spoke in favor. a labor advocate mocked the claims of widespread opposition. The Charlotte Observer claims 30,000 citizens object to unionized city employees. So where are they today? Hiding, perhaps. Amid all this pushback, council members decided that the resolution's language was too strong and defeated it. The business community was not willing to accept defeat, and was further troubled by a statement put out by the police union stating they would not permit themselves to be used as off-duty strikebreakers. The Charlotte Firefighters Union, now also under attack, said they had the same rights to band together as the Chamber of Commerce, and refuted the claim that their responsibility to the public meant that they should not join a union. They argued the Firefighters Union worked not only for their own livelihood, but also to better their profession, thereby benefiting the public. To increase pressure on city council members, the Charlotte Merchants Association passed a resolution on January 5, 1959, calling for police to be restrained from belonging to any labor union. On January 7th, another resolution was introduced to the city council, this time only banning police unions. Business representatives showed out in force. One executive warned that if there was the remotest possibility of police unionization, northern businesses would not be interested in coming to Charlotte. A labor representative responded that city employees should not be made to suffer in order to give sweatshops to industries locating here. This time, the resolution passed, banning police unions in Charlotte. The police union's attorney said the ban was completely unconstitutional and violated the state's right-to-work laws.
When the right-to-work law was passed, it had two parts. One part was no employee could be required to join a union or pay any fees. Another part was no employee could be required not to join a union. So any ordinance that tried to say employees couldn't be in a union would violate that part of the right-to-work law.
The business community knew that if the city resolution was to withstand a lawsuit, North Carolina state law would have to be changed. The Charlotte elite had many powerful allies in the state government, including textile magnate Charles Cannon. He was convinced to throw his support behind a state bill because of a large ongoing strike at the Harriet Henderson cotton mills. Cannon was known to be a career maker in politics, and many members of the state legislature were known as Cannon men. A bill was introduced exempting public employees from the right-to-work laws and banning all public employees from participating in collective bargaining. The bill also banned policemen and firefighters from joining unions. As one lawmaker argued, referring to the Harriet Henderson mill strike, how can law and order be maintained if policemen and firemen are affiliated with one side in such a dispute? During discussions of the bill, the Charlotte Observer's lie of a Teamsters effort to organize the police department was repeated, as were the worries that unionized police, but now also firemen, would refuse to fulfill their public responsibility. One senator, James O. Simpkins, grew tired of the textile industry throwing its weight around. He declared, "I've got a belly full of Charles Cannon telling the General Assembly what to do." Another representative voiced his concerns. "When we reach the point where we deny any segment of the American people the right to belong to any organization, you are infringing on their rights." In the end, the coordinated pressure of North Carolina's industrial elite proved to be a force too great to overcome, and the state bill was signed into law on June 3, 1959. Firefighter and police unions across North Carolina were forced to dissolve, and all public employees could no longer bargain with their employer, effectively crippling them. In 1969, 10 years later, Charlotte firefighters sued, claiming the law was unconstitutional. The court ruled that the sections of the law outlawing firemen and police officers from joining unions were unconstitutional, but the ban on collective bargaining remained. The textile industry, which lobbied so hard for public employees to be loyal to the people of North Carolina, apparently did not feel that same responsibility. Over the next few decades, these companies abandoned North Carolina, moving overseas in search of cheaper labor. While most textile mills have long since closed, North Carolina's public employees remain, still fighting for their right to be heard. So how has this ban impacted these public sector workers?
Because of the ways that the laws have structured how we think in our state. It isn't even just the ban. When we have conversations in public schools, workers think that they cannot join a union. So if people are saying, well, they shouldn't need a union because they need to just take care of their responsibility, we're trying to take care of our responsibilities. We're in there doing it every day. And we're telling you, this is what we need in order to be able to meet our kids' needs, because our kids deserve that, because we're worth that. So we fight.